All right, everybody, this is a tutorial on the new Harris XL185 portable radios that we just took delivery of and went live with on the new radio system cutover. This is a public safety version radio. It is intrinsically safe, as you can tell here by these two green dots. The radio indicates that it is safe with the green dot. The battery also has a green dot as well. So these are specifically designed for IDLH and explosive atmospheres and will not cause you to be injured or harmed by their use. Basic features of this radio: you're going to have your volume and your power on and off knob here, your channel selection knob up here. You're going to have a zone selector right here that's going to take you from zones A through D. This selector over here is going to lock your keypad on the front once you turn it on. You're going to see the lock here. What that does is it prevents any of these buttons from being able to be depressed and used here. They're going to be useless. So if you need to do anything with your backlights or your top orientation or anything like that, you just go ahead and unlock that and you can manipulate these any way you want. For starters, your zone A is going to start with our dispatch channel, dispatch A, and run through all your tactical channels for fireground operations, all the way down to TAC 10 and then BKV tower. For those of you that are stationed at the airport and part of the ARF response, the BKV tower channel is specific to the tower and the airport operations. It replaces old Fire 7 on the old system, so this is strictly going to be for airport operations when an alert is called and we are responding in for some type of an emergency. The tower does have one of these new radios up there. They can communicate directly with dispatch if there is an emergency that they need to report, and all operations will be done on the BKV tower channel. You're also going to have AirOps 1 and AirOps 2. Those are not programmed into the responding helicopters aircraft as of yet. We have met with all of the responding helicopter agencies that we routinely deal with and a few that will come in periodically. They are in the process of getting their aircraft reprogrammed. These channels will be used once that is completed, and you'll get a go-ahead notification when that time comes. We do have two talk-around channels on Zone A and Zone B. These are for line-of-sight communications only that will not be monitored on a repeated system, so dispatch will not be able to hear it. These are worst-case scenario communication channels. This new system throughout the county has an extremely good coverage capability inside buildings as well as outside. There's only about 3 buildings that have been identified as needing to have some more modifications or amplifications done. One of those being the courthouse building, the other being the sheriff's office building, and I believe parts of Brooksville Hospital and maybe Spring Hill Hospital as well, but don't quote me on those yet. So that is going to be your Zone A bank. Switching over to Zone B, this is going to be your medical channels for all your hospitals. You're going to have HCA Oak Hill, Spring Hill, Brooksville. Bayonet Point is not live on this system yet. We're working to get their information from Pasco so that we can input it into our system and make them live as soon as we can. Still not up and running yet. Same with Citrus and Seven Rivers. We're working on getting that information as well. Within the Zone B, you're also going to have 3 training channels. These are live on the system. They can be used for real-life training scenarios or just training exercises, not taking up traffic on a TAC channel or anything else. They are repeated, so if we're going out of county and using them, they may not be an option. But when you're in county doing training, you'll have 3 channels to pick from. Special operations. This will include Marine, Hazmat, USAR, ARF, drone, any of those different types of training exercises. You guys will also have 3 Spec Op channels, Spec Ops 1, 2, and 3. Those are also in Zone B. BFD has a training channel as well. Bayflight eventually will transition over to our system, so they tell us. They'll be dispatched on this channel, so you'll be able to hear any of that information that gets sent out as well. Talk Around 1 and Talk Around 2. Going over to Zone C, this is going to be our Hernando County interoperability channels. These channels are what dispatch will use to patch together any other departments within Hernando County so we can seamlessly talk to one another on any of these channels. So that would be DPW, mosquito control, pretty much anybody else that uses the system, the transit, Hernando Public Transit. We also can communicate with outside agencies on this channel once they're patched through, but mainly it's going to be for all of the Hernando County users on this radio system. So we end up having 10 TAC channels total on this zone. Channels 9, you're going to see there's a little key up here. Hernando IO9 and Hernando IO10. These are encrypted channels. These are channels that are going to be utilized if we have to go direct with communications with the sheriff's office. So that would be talking directly from us to their deputies. This will be for probably a long duration event or some kind of a high profile event. Just a capability we have, it's not something that's going to be routinely used. Even though there's only 10 channels in here, even if you spin all the way up to channel 16, it's going to stay on IO10 because there's only 10 channels entered into this zone. If you go over to zone D as in Delta, this is going to be our 8 TAC channels. 8 TAC channels are mutual aid channels that are nationwide channels. We can go anywhere in the country and talk on these channels. It's not specific to our radio system or anybody else's radio systems. This is specifically designed by the federal government for mutual aid anywhere in the country. Channel 1 is going to be dispatch A. Channel 2 is going to be 8 call 90 and so on. If you notice there's a D delta here, this will be a 8 call 90 direct channel. This would be treated like a talk around channel where it does not utilize a repeater and it will be only line of sight. Currently, until further notice, all of our helicopter landing zones will need to be done on 8 TAC 93. Until the helicopters get our air operations channels entered into their aircraft, this is the only channel that we can communicate with all of the aircraft in the entire state of Florida that we know 100% will work. So until further notice, 8 TAC 93, which is Delta 8, will be the air operations channel for helicopter scene responses. There's also a channel called Mutual Aid Florida. You'll notice it's called MAFLA or MAFLA Direct because it has the D. This is also a mutual aid channel that the helicopters have the capabilities of using, as well as other outside agencies that may not have 8 TAC channels programmed into their radios. Just another option that you have out there. And then you have dispatch A, the rest of the bank. Now we do have an additional 5 zones built into these radios that can be accessed outside of the 4 up here on the top, zone A's through B. Over here on the side where the push to talk button is, that's what this button is, push to talk. Top button that's black, that's your scan on, scan off. When you press that button, you're going to see this S squiggly blue background over here. That indicates that your scan is turned on, scan is turned off. Scan is turned on, scan is turned off. Your PTT, like I said, these are your zone up and down selectors. So we're currently on Hernando Fire, delineated here. If we go up, it's going to be Hernando Medical, which is zone B, Hernando IO, which is zone C, 8 TAC, which is zone D. Then you're going to get into Pasco interoperability. These channels, once they're fully operational, which they are not yet, these Pasco IO channels are what we will use if we mutual aid into Pasco County. They will tell us which one of these channels they want us to work on, and then Pasco Fire's dispatch will patch, we'll say for this example, Pasco IO1 to Pasco's Tactical Fireground channel. These Pasco IO channels operate on Pasco's radio system, does not rely on Hernando County's radio system, so you can go anywhere in Pasco, communicate with Pasco on this system. There are a total of it's not going to let me scroll through. I believe Pasco gave us either 8 or 10 channels because it's not registering as active on their system. You can't scroll through their channel selectors, but it's either 8 or 10 channels that they have for us to use. They're all ready to go on Pasco's system. So when that is up and running, you'll get more information on that, on how that process will work exactly. Same thing for Citrus. Their system is not operational yet, but you'll be able to scroll through all of Citrus's channels. Same principles. When we mutual aid into Citrus County, they're going to tell us which Citrus IO channel they want us to operate on. We'll switch to that channel. It works on Citrus's radio system. We can communicate seamless with them. Their dispatch patches this Citrus IO channel were assigned to the Fireground tactical channel they're utilizing, and we continue to communicate with them that way. We also have Sumter County. Exact same process, exact same principles. We mutual aid to them, we switch to whichever IO channel they want us to operate on, they patch it together to their tactical Fireground channel. 7 TAC channels. These are also nationwide mutual aid channels. There's 2 banks of them. Here it says 7 TAC 1 of 2, and then if you go to one more, it'll be 7 TAC 2 of 2. And they go through a wide, I mean, it's all the way through. You don't stop, you just keep going. It's all the way through. Those you'll probably never use, however, we do need to have them in case there's mutual aid companies from outside of our state that come in. Hypothetically, say we have a storm response and we get a USAR team from Virginia that comes down. If they have the 7 TAC frequencies in their radios, we can simply communicate with them on that. Again, zone up and zone down through here. Now, since this is the last zone that's on this radio, if you hit the up button again, it'll cycle you right back to Zone A or Hernando Fire, Dispatch A. We do have some front buttons here. These 3 buttons with the 3 dots, 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot, they correspond to whatever is on the screen above them. So the top backlight, if you press that, it'll turn the top backlight on or off. The front backlight, it'll either turn it bright or dim it, depending on how you like it. And then the top orientation changes the direction that the display goes. So if you have it in a radio pouch, you don't have to worry about trying to read it upside down and backwards. You can simply put it on the orientation that you like. The buttons down here, the center one brings you to a menu option. You can scroll through here. There are no features in here that you need to touch or worry about unless you're having issues with Bluetoothing the radio to an air pack, which you'll either contact myself or Rob me to help you work with. Everything in here is just information only. You cannot program scan lists, you cannot change scan lists in here. It'll give you a radio status. You can look at any messages that might be in there. Display settings, there's nothing in here that you're going to be able to change. It'll tell you, it gives you a little icon glossary so you can figure out what something means if you're unsure what the icons are that are on there. You can scroll through that and look at it. The Wi-Fi access is for Wi-Fi programming of channels. Maintenance, you can look at your battery information, tells you what your voltage is, your capacity, how many charge cycles it's been through. So if there's ever an issue with the battery, we can get that information off there. Your radio information gives you your serial number right here, software, other information that's useful for us radio people. You guys on the road don't really need to worry about it. So that's going to be that. If for any reason you're on a TAC channel and you need to get back to Dispatch A real quick, this up button, you just hit it and hold it for a second, takes you back to Dispatch A. Even though your knob selector up here is going to be on channel 5, you're going to be transmitting on Dispatch A. When you're done with that, just change your dial back to whichever channel you want to work on. If you hit down, it's going to tell you what each programmed button on the radio does. And as you can see, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 channels that are programmed. If you hit the left button, it gives you channel information. It'll tell you what talk group it is, the talk group ID. This unit number, this is the specific digit number to what the radio system recognizes this radio as. So if it's programmed as Engine 1 Captain, this particular number is what's going to tell you that information. Not sure why that timed out like that. Anyways, this is where your lapel mic gets clipped onto. All of this gets covered up when you're putting it on. The emergency alert button, this button does work. It will activate if you press it and hold it for 1 to 2 seconds. It will do an alert tone. It will put you onto dispatch A channel, and it will allow you to send your transmission if you are having an emergency. Dispatch will be able to see which radio this is. Every other radio that's on the channel that you are operating on when you depress this will also see which radio declared the alert. Okay? If you inadvertently declare an alert, to clear it, you push and depress the button for 1 to 2 seconds. It'll clear the emergency alert. LED indicator over here, green light means you're receiving a transmission, red light means you're transmitting a transmission. All of your radios should have a tag like this. This is an RFID tag. When you're doing your Friday checks, this is the number you put in as the asset number or property number of the device. We also are able to scan these with an RFID reader, so if for any reason the screen gets broken and we can't tell whose radio it belongs to, or there is an issue with the writing on the back here with all the information, we'll be able to figure it out because it'll be in the system. Volume goes from low to high. There's really nothing that you can do to control it in between. You'll notice that there is a little bit of a, so for lack of better terms, computerized sound to your speech. The reason that occurs is this system operates on a digital transmission system. So it takes your voice, inputs it into the radio, turns it into a digital signal, sends it, and is received on other radios as a digital signal. It's going to be a little bit of a change for us to understand and get used to that when we're listening to everything. I understand dispatch sounds pretty normal, and so a lot of our people sound a little different. That's just the nature of the beast with the digital P25 system. One other key important thing to note, when you're talking on these radios, there's a microphone down here and there's also a microphone up in here. If you're not using it with a lapel mic, you have to speak towards the radio itself. These have noise canceling features on them, so if you have it down like this and you're trying to talk in this direction where your volume and your speech is going to go this way, it's not going to pick it up. It's the same thing with the lapel mic. If you have it on your strap and you're just chinning down and talking across the radio speaker, it's not going to pick it up as well as if you actually turn the speaker and point it towards your mouth and speak into it. So if you're having issues understanding each other or understanding a truck or something like that, keep in mind you have to speak towards the front of the lapel mic or towards the front of the radio for your speech to be recognized and transmitted properly. These are glove-friendly knobs that are up here. They do spin a little bit more freely and easily than the other system's radio knobs did, so keep that in mind if you're getting dressed and turnout gear. Pay attention to what channel you're on before you get out and go operating into a hazardous environment. Your volume knob also is going to get spun around a little bit more easily, so just keep that in mind. Your lapel mics also have an emergency alert button that is on them on the top. Same principles apply. If you need to activate it, you press and hold it for 1 to 2 seconds. If you inadvertently activate it, you press and hold for 1 to 2 seconds to deactivate it. On the side of the lapel mics, there's also a high-low volume switch, so that if you have issues hearing, double check that it's not in the low position and it's in the high position. And if it's too loud for wherever you are, you can also drop it down into the low position. This volume knob still controls the volume, it just puts it on 2 different playing fields, so to speak, for that area. That pretty much in a nutshell gives us the overview of these radios and their operation. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out through your chain of command and we'll get them handled and answered as best we can.